Hello class, this is a video tutorial on changing the subject, and we're looking at much harder examples that will require factoring and or completing the square. So let's get straight into it. Now for this, just for the simplicity of making the questions, we're always going to make x the subject in this one. Okay, so let's go straight into our first example here. For this, notice that we have an ax here, or an x term, and another x term here. Whenever we see this, we need to bring it all to the same side of the equation. So we're going to add ax, so we get 2x plus ax plus b equals 4. And then, since we want to make x the subject, we need to leave this on the same side and move b onto the other side. So we're going to subtract b. And that's now what we've moved. We're moving b side. And we are left with 2x plus ax. Now, here is where the slightly new thing will happen. Since we now have x's on the same side, notice how we can factor x out. So I'm going to factor it out as x outside of 2 plus a. Now, in this example, since it's just 2 plus a, we can write this as a plus 2. So it's exactly the same thing. So let's just write this as a plus 2 just to make it look nice. And we're down to our last step here. Since this is x times this group, we can actually divide by the entire group, which will be 4 minus b over a plus 2. And that is how we make x the subject with an included step of factorization. All right, now that you've got that idea in, let's now proceed to this example. This one, notice how we've got these different denominators. So we need to bring in our knowledge of algebraic fractions and find the lowest common denominator or multiple between 2, 5, and this 1 is also over 1. So the lowest common multiple, I hope you can see, is going to be 10. So 2 to become 10, we multiply by 5, 5x. For 5 to become 10, we multiply by 2, equals in the middle. For 5 to become 10, we multiply by 2, so this becomes 2dx. And this number is over 1, so for 1 to become 10, we multiply by 10. Since we now have the same denominator, we can multiply everything by 10 and it cancels out, which then leaves us with just everything in the numerator. So 5x plus 2c equals 2dx plus 10. And now, even though it looks slightly different, we're actually at the exact same step here. We need to bring everything to the same side of the equation. So we're going to make it 5x minus 2dx. So we subtracted 2dx. And rather than do it in two different steps, I'm going to subtract 2c at the same time. So 10 minus 2c. We are now at the step where we have the same factor of x. So we can factorize that. So we get x outside of 5 minus 2d equals 10 minus 2c. And as we've seen before, since this is x times this group, we can divide by the entire group to give us x equals 10 minus 2c over 5 minus 2d. Now, at this step, this is a completely acceptable answer, but you might see this occur sometimes, where we can factor out a -1 from the 10 and -2c. So it's going to be negative +2c minus 10 over. And likewise with this, we can factor out a -1 from here. So negative outside of +2d minus 5. And since it is -1, divide -1, those two expressions cancel, which just leaves us with this. So you might sometimes encounter this seemingly random flip of these, but in reality, what has happened is this that I'm showing you. There's a negative being factored in such a way that it seems to flip the negatives from +10 to -10 and -2c to +2c. Right, so I hope that's giving you an insight into this factoring, changing the subject. Hope to see you in the next video where we tackle slightly more difficult ones. Hope to see you then, and best of luck.